What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. You're beautiful people, and I love you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Check out the Porpoise Pod, new podcast coming out. 2 more episodes coming out this week. If you could, subscribe there, right to your podcast platform as soon as we go up. And I believe we'll be putting the next episode back up on YouTube. You can go check out WQAM's YouTube page. Check out the Porpoise Pod there as well. Although the audio downloads, those mean a lot more to me. So if you guys could do that, you do your boy Dahobes a solid subscribe there. Would appreciate it. And Tobin and Leroy Show, available on YouTube on the WQAM page as well. I will put the page in the description for you guys to check out. So, Dolphins game week, getting ready for the fighting man Campbells. Gonna bite off a kneecap. It's funny, I was listening back to Man Campbell, some of his victory speeches from back in the day. We were talking on the show today about like favorite South Florida sports fads. And I felt like Man Campbell, he was not even, it wasn't even an era, it was like a little South Florida fad, somebody brought up like Jay Ajayi's elite run with the Dolphins fad, for the Wildcat fad, like lasted like 6 games of really working fad. And Man Campbell, he was like this South Florida sports fad, like along there with like the 2012 Marlins and James Ennis from the Heat and things like that. Kyle Guy last year for the Heat, just a little moment in time where we were all positive and then we were kind of rats off a ship. We were out of there. But Man Campbell, who was the star of Hard Knocks, very manly man, emotional guy. He drinks really souped up coffee. And he also will cry from time to time because he's super emotional and he cares about this more than anybody known to football. So it'll be interesting going up against them. They stink. They're 1-5. They do have some dynamic playmakers that it seems like they're going to get back this week in DeAndre Swift. He is practicing for the Lions. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking like he's on his way back too, even though he suffered a concussion. But we know how this works. Concussion rules for anybody that's not the Dolphins are not concussions. They do not work the same. And nobody is threatening to sue the Lions. So not a big deal. Look, he's an awesome player. I'm looking forward to seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown out there. He's really, really good. DeAndre Swift was a full participant in practice, so it does look like the running back for the Lions is going to be on his way back out as well. Look, this offense got off to a tremendous start for this season. They were among the best in football. I believe they've been outscored like 53-6 over the last 2 games. So that's definitely tapered off with some of their big-time guys being out, and maybe just reality catching up with them because they can't stop a nosebleed as far as defense, which for the Miami Dolphins, I would say, is a big opportunity this week because what has been probably the biggest complaint thus far for Dolphins fans, I would say there's actually been a lot of complaints, but everybody's kind of got like their own little factions. I would say the most legitimate complaint for the Dolphin fan is, man, get a lot of yards, a lot of big chunk plays, not a whole hell of a lot of touchdowns. You would hope against the Detroit Lions that could get changed around a little bit, even with, Tua Tagovailoa saying that he believes, Aiden Hutchinson's coming into his own for them. And, they got a really, some nice young pieces on defense that they could look at and say are tough for the Miami Dolphins. They just haven't been able to put it all together. The interesting, though, thing was this with Tua, because people are talking with him, hey, you got to slide, bro. Like, you got to protect yourself. And Tua Tagovailoa is telling you, like, look, don't tell me what to do.
Obviously, had my coaches telling me, we don't ever want you to do this. Obviously, I get that coming off of the injury and what had happened, prior with the concussion. But I don't know. To me, it's football. I mean, you go out there and, like, for me, I can see the first down in instances and want to do all that I can to go and get it. But I don't know. It's football. I want to be able to continue making plays that I feel, can contribute to moving the chains and helping our team. So, whatever it takes for me. But, then again, I'm going to tell you, I got to slide. I got to do all of that. But instinctively, I don't know. it's weird. I know it's like a weird competitive thing.
I mean, like, look, he just told you right there in his most adorable two-away. Sliding is soft. He doesn't like doing it. He doesn't want to go out there and he doesn't want to slide because he's not Juan Pierre. He's not a baseball player. And he's got, he is the meme with the x-ray, with the dogs. Like, that's what he is. He's got that dog in him. He just likes to play, which is kind of funny, right? Because everybody, all the joking aside, where we say things like Tua's adorable and Tua's the sweetest and Tua loves Christmas. Like, this dude is a monster competitor. And for everybody who's like, oh, he's a check down Charlie. He's plays it safe. He's nice. Like, this dude, first of all, he takes a lot of risks. He tries to make plays happen. And yeah, I would say sometimes to his own detriment. I would say, he does not have that 6'6" frame of certain quarterbacks, or 6'4", behemoths like a Josh Allen, or, even I don't think he's good, but Trevor Lawrence. Like, he doesn't have like that prototype frame. So yeah, you would like him to be a little bit like let it die and have the way. But I think also part of the reason, like, look, you could say this is a stat, you could not say this is a stat, but like, they win a lot with him. And maybe part of that is his competitive spirit. Maybe part of that is the fact that he will do whatever it takes to win at all costs and even throw his body and caution to the wind. And does that line up for him having a very long career? I would say at this point, no, because we've seen, he does seem to get hurt a lot. He does put himself in the line of fire a lot. But I think also, like we saw last season when he hit the old boomstick on some dude, like, that gets your teammates revved up. And I do think that gives a little bit of something. And we saw him play it safe in this game and kind of flip it around where the slide didn't work out. And then he wanted to try and get some contact and for lack of a better term, shake the cobwebs out or knock off the rust, whatever you want to put out there for it. But there's part of that element. Yes, he's your franchise guy that you absolutely, absolutely want as few risks as possible. They try and change the game for this position. Tom Brady, will throw a temper tantrum if a defensive end we saw this as like to gently lay him down as if he was Sleeping Beauty, flag. And I think everybody would like to play by the rules that Tom Brady plays by. Tua Tagovailoa doesn't play by those rules. For one, they don't call those same roughing the passers on him that they do on Tom Brady. But also, he just doesn't have that, I don't know if I want to call it maturity about him, but he just doesn't have that element to his game yet. I guess that savviness to let it live another day. He's just got too much like piss, vinegar, testosterone competitiveness in him that he just wants to go back. What is Tua, 24 years old? Like, you feel invincible. And I think even with the elements that he's had, you think about all the rehab that he's done from the broken hip. You think about coming back from the injuries, the concussions, all that stuff. Like, at the end of the day, he fancies himself a football player. And I think that's going to take a lot of coaching out of him to get that out of him. I don't think that's going to be something that we're going to start seeing this week or in a couple weeks, maybe as his years go on in the NFL and he just gets certain things or he's just got certain beats on things. But I think for right now, like, your heart might stop a few times when he does bring that element of dog to the game, when he wants to go and try and make something happen. You're just hopeful that there's no physical ramifications of it. Also, speaking of physical ramifications, on the injury report, we'll get to a little bit of that. The Miami Dolphins, a lot of them not surprising. We kind of get the usual suspects that have been out and have been missing time. But the unfortunate, you got where the hell did downloads go? Where did downloads go? Downloads. Hmm. Oh, here we go. As far as the injury report's concerned for the Dolphins, normal suspects out on a Wednesday. Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, Clayton Pendulum's out. Melvin Ingram, vet rest. Durham Smythe did not participate. We know all those guys have been kind of dealing with some stuff. I would think all those guys are going to go tomorrow. Pendulum's the only one I'm a little bit unclear of, but I think all those guys should go. The limited guys, Waddle's still there, Sealer's still there, Ogba was limited, Cater Kohu, Keon Crossan, Tanner Connor, Jerome Baker. Those guys are all limited, so hope for the best there, especially I think any secondary help they can get, because they did get the news today that Brandon Jones, he is done for the season with a torn ACL, and Tua was pretty he was pretty bummed by this because he's very close with Brandon.
Brandon has, I don't know how many of you guys talked to him, but Brandon has a pretty big impact, on that defense. And outside of, his impact on the defense, I mean, dudes love being around this guy. Whether it's been on the ping pong table or just, having a chat with this guy, like guys rally around him. He's a really good guy. He'll definitely be missed. But I mean, for me, that's my boy. He's his locker's next to mine, so I mean that's my guy. And it sucks to see that. Sucks to see him go through that, and his family have to go through that with him as well. But my thoughts and prayers are always with him, and hoping that he can recover fast from this and come back stronger next year.
Man, I mean, the injuries to the secondary, that's a bummer. But, like, you hear Tua there where guys rallying around him. I'm kind of worried about this one. Maybe not for this week because, the Lions aren't very good and you're hopeful that you can get through some things. But, I mean, like, it does feel like how many blows can that secondary take before they cave in, especially once they start going against teams with good quarterbacks who can really pick that apart. I mean, we even saw this with last week with Kenny Pickett. They saw something there. Now you're talking about a guy who's your leading tackler, has a really close relationship with Javon Holland, a good chemistry with Javon Holland as well. Is a good weapon on the blitz and things like that. Like, not good, not great, Bob, as they say, not great. So, sucks Brandon Jones is out. Hopefully a speedy recovery for him because this is, just feels like they can only take so many hits. And in this case, also lose a lot of hits because this dude is, always, he's got NFTF, he's kind of always around the play. He's flying to it. And, not a great blow for this team to take, certainly going into a game that everybody thinks that they should win. But going into this week, like certainly the Dolphins right now, 3.5-point road favorites. The Lions kind of mired in the slump, and the Dolphins really, you would like them. We talked about this run that they have, this opportunity that they have with the teams they're about to take on, and certainly Detroit with our old friend Man Campbell reeling a little bit, even if they are getting some of their playmakers back, and guys like Aiden Hutchinson are maturing and things like that. Still. And even with the injuries that you got going on, this is still a game. If you have aspirations of being a playoff team, you have your starting quarterback back, this is a game you go win.